Heavyweight Champion. What do you see as the place of the AWA title right now? What do you see as the relation of the title now to the legacy of its forefather, its the original title?
Well, with the AWA World Heavyweight title, it's in a rebirth. Anybody that's followed wrestling for 25, 30 years knows that the AWA was here, then it was here, then it was dead, then it's on its way back up. So it's my job, and it was Takeo Mori's job to bring credibility back to the title. With the AWA, it's no longer one guy in charge. It's 23 different independent promotions with one guy calling the shots at the end instead of there's no Vern Gagne anymore. It's Dale Gagne who listens to 23 independent promotions just like the NWA was. So I think it's my job as the AWA champion right now to build a legacy for the future instead of worrying about what happened from 1991 to 2004 or early 2005. I need to look at 2005 to 2007, 2008, and try and make the title mean something more than it has, in the past when Dale started up the AWA again in '96. Guys like Evan Courageous were the champion, Bundy were the champion, Horseshoe was Luther Reigns was the champion, stuff like that. No one gave two shits about it because there was no push towards it. When 01 joined the AWA in late 2004, we joined with the idea that we had just lost the NWA membership. The AWA, we saw as an opportunity to not only have a governing body, but also build up the name again. Because in Japan, the AWA name still meant Shiruda, Hansen, Bockwinkel, Saito, all the great stars that passed the Destroyer and stuff like that. So that was our goal, and for it to actually gain some importance again in America and Europe and all these countries that I'm going to as the AWA World Champion is something that I didn't see happen. So I think the importance of the legacy is to build a new legacy for it, and whoever the next champion is needs to carry that on and bring honor to the title, defend it everywhere, make it a real world title again.
So do you see it as rebuilding something that skipped a beat, or do you see? I mean, how do you really get past the fact that Evan Courageous won the title?
Oh, easy. We never acknowledge it. We had originally got in trouble. 01 got in trouble because we stopped the lineage. In Japan, the same thing. The magazines stopped the lineage with Zbyszko. Mm-hmm. So whatever happened from 91, 96, it was done. But from 96 to up until the tournament where Amori won, there was nothing. So the AWA was running for 7 years, 8 years, but it really didn't matter at all to the Japanese press. So they literally killed it off. They said, all right, Zbyszko was the last champion. Amori's the champion of the new generation. So I really don't think of Evan as, because I don't know Evan, and he could be a big wrestling fan, stuff like that. To me, the first show I ever saw was AWA. I saw Bockwinkel Hogan in the Winnipeg Arena. I know the importance of the title. One of the reasons that the style of belt we have is the Bockwinkel style is because the Japanese fans wanted what Shiruda held and Hansen held, and they wanted that old school belt. So that's why we went with the old school belt too. So I feel like I have the pressure of the champions of the past because they were such great champions, but my thing is trying to build a new future for the AWA. So I don't even think of like Evan and Luther and Bundy as really champions because it really didn't have the impact it does now, with the worldwide recognition of it.
Tell me about Dale Gagne. Dale Gagne, the man in charge of the AWA now. You're working with him. He's recreated this AWA, recreated himself in taking over the AWA. He's not actually a member of the storied Gagne family.
Right.
How's your working relationship with him? What do you think of his vision for the AWA, considering what you're holding now is kind of like a third version of this title,
right,
and what you're leading is a second version of his AWA.
Right. Yeah, it's exactly right, and that's the best way to put it. it's a second version of the AWA. It's a third version of the title. Actually, yeah, if you really want to go way back, it's a fourth version because there was an AWA in the 30s. Then when Vern started in '59, he had his. That was the second version. So, you try to do the best you can with it. Dale, he's a good business guy. He sells a lot of shows to fairs. He's definitely a businessman. He worked with Vern back in the late '80s and stuff like that with event coordinating and stuff like that. And when he bought the name out of bankruptcy in '96, I'm sure there's still today people that really want to know if he really bought the name and stuff like that. And one of the things that 01 wanted to check out was that if he had legal rights to the AWA name, they didn't want to pay a membership fee to something that wasn't legitimate. So we had everything checked out. We had to actually hire a lawyer to check it out and everything like that. So he actually owns the name. Vince owns the video rights from '60 to '91, and so it works out good. I think he's got a good vision. If anything I have negative to say about Dale is that he lets some shady promoters in. I haven't seen too many of them yet, but I
want to ask you about that.
Yeah, but Ernie Todd, is definitely a bad seed for the AWA, and he's going to hurt us before he helps us. But there's a lot of good ones in there. CWF Mid-Atlantic, which I don't know if they were a part of the NWA or not, but they got a good program. It seems like, when I was the NWA champion, I was in the middle of all the NWA politics, and up until we lost the NWA membership, I was the one that would translate the crappy emails that would come from the NWA membership to the 01 office because we were a member, so we got to see every bitching and moaning email that came across. Whereas the AWA is everybody's got a little part of it, but Dale's got the final say, which I like because instead of one guy saying, instead of a committee, there's a committee, but then there's one chief that says
one
that's
voice.
it. Yeah.
One
So
final
I really like that, and he's got some good visions. I think he realizes that he's a businessman, and then there's the wrestling part, the actual. He's never going to try and step up and be a booker. You know what I mean? He's actually letting guys like when he runs his own shows, Johnny Stewart books the shows. When he'll go to member organizations like AWA Slam in Chicago or Brew City in Wisconsin, and he'll help out, but he'll help out in the business way. He'll let the wrestling guys do the wrestling things, and that's why I like when I get to a city or stuff like that, he'll ask my opinion. What should we do here? How should we book this here? Who should we look at as future champions? Not just tags, or not just world heavyweight title, but the world tag titles and the world light heavyweight title. So I try and give them a little insight, like, all right, this guy might be able to draw for you. This guy's got a good schedule. This tag team might be able to do good for you. But it's a tough job, but I think he's doing a good job of it. I think it's the AWA is a lot of trial and error right now. It's going to take another 5 years before they have the set members that their main focus is AWA. What's best for the AWA? We just had a mass email sent to the membership that was, if you were cynical, it looked ridiculous. But I looked at it as, this guy was given a million ideas. Okay, let's break every idea down and let's say why this can't work or why this can work. And that it's more of a united front now. So Dale, appreciates the input, but he also knows that he's the guy that's got to be the last guy.
What's the end goal, or what's the current goal? What are you driving towards with the AWA? Are you driving towards some kind of a TNA-like national presence at some point?
No, I hope not.
Okay. Is this an attempt to recreate the old territorial system?
Yes. If you asked me, sorry if I cut off your question, but if you asked me, I see it as it's 23 regional promotions together with one world champion, one world tag champ, one world light heavyweight champion. And that's how it's going to stay. There's never going to be another WWE. There's never, TNA is trying their hardest, but TNA is still below WCW and will always be, So if you're going to try and compete with Vince and you compete with the TNA, you're just beating your head up against the wall because there's not the TV clearances in the States. There's not none of the 23 promotions have the money to back it. A lot of capital, investors aren't going to back a pro wrestling product that you need millions of dollars in just capital. The talent pool, who's going to book all the talent pool for this? So I like the idea of having 23 separate independent companies together with one governing body.
So where is, sorry to cut you off, where is Dale Gagne telling these 23 members and potential new members, where is he telling them the AWA will be in 5 years?
I think, that I'm not sure about that, but I think he's telling them that, this is how it is. You join, a lot of the things that you get when you join the AWA is, Dale puts your membership fee into a fair commission. And what the fair commission does is they send you things where you can sell shows to fairs and stuff like that. And that's easy money, because where a company like ROH would never do a fair show because their crowd is an internet crowd, and the pure wrestling fan crowd. Where with my Pro Wrestling World 1 is I booked all these fair shows that are, carnival shows. You go and you get to see wrestling for an hour and a half, everything, and it makes great money for our office, and it also, I'm starting a dojo and arena up. It's great for, there. So the revenue that I spent as Pro Wrestling World 1 to join the AWA, and I actually didn't spend the money, 01 spends it. I just ride their coattails. And, but, it got me into the fair commission. With the fair commission, then I put on these fair shows. And where Dale gets in, you give, Dale a percentage of the package that you sell to the thing, and then you get that. So you're putting on, where next year, World 1 will have 75 shows, are any of them going to be, we may have one show at a fair that draws 13 people on a Tuesday night, but we may have a show on Friday with the same guys that draw 1,500. You know what I mean? But we still get paid every week on it. So it's a money making thing for its revenue stream for Pro Wrestling World 1 and all these other independent companies if they do it right. Dale knows how to sell these fair shows. He takes the big ones like Arizona. I want to say Minnesota. There's a couple big fair shows that he runs that I've worked on that. We've got 2,500 people, 3,000 people for an independent show, and it's 5 matches, and it's, one or two big stars and stuff like that. And, the one thing about Dale I'll give him is there's 3,000 people in the thing, and he sold I'm just putting this out, say it's a $15,000 package. He's not paying you on a $3,000 package. He's paying you on a $15,000 package, which, wow, you get a local guy that's had 16 matches, and he's getting a paycheck for $250. That's amazing, and Dale it seems to have the reputation as a guy that, is screwing people and stuff like that, and I've yet to see it, so wow, I kind of find it, funny that, like, these guys, that don't work with him don't know what he's doing. He wants to do business, he wants to make money. His big thing is not having the AWA over on the internet, but, the fairs and the carnivals and all this stuff that are actually bringing revenue into the AWA, that's who he wants to be over with.
And you mentioned you're running Pro Wrestling World 1 again.
Mm-hmm.
You've run before. Is this based on the AWA membership that you decided to run again? Or were you, after PWF?
Yeah.
Would you have run again without...
You know what? I don't know, because at the end of 2004, when we ran 2 tours of World 1, and they were such great shows, but they were such a failure at the box office. And then there were the problems with the 01 office, with the changing of hands. So, the sponsorships that we were supposed to have never fell through and everything like that. And it just turned my stomach off, like, I can't promote these shows. And then I realized that me and Brian Regal and Rob Dimension had all this footage from PWF, and I had the two tours of Pro Wrestling World 1, and I saw what Jersey All Pro was doing with internet TV, and I said, wow, we could do something to bring some revenue with the DVDs, the old DVDs and stuff like that, and bring it back. And the second I started doing that, we started selling advertising for the internet TV show, and then there were people that were interested in sponsoring shows and stuff like that. So all of a sudden, the creative juices. I've always had the creative juices as a booking mind. So when with World 1, it started out as, okay, I'll put some of these shows on, and then the fair commission thing came up, and then all of a sudden, now I'm into it more than I've ever been into it. And we've done, we instead of having 9 matches, we have 6. We run the shows 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we keep the prices pretty down, and we pay the old Dusty Road style on the house. If you're the main event, you get main event pay. If you're the first match, you get first match pay. And it's been fun. It's I got a great support staff. We have somebody that sets up the building. We have somebody that orders the ring. We have somebody that has, make sure the banners and the lights and everything's set up. With, our ITV guy, and he makes sure the music stuff like that. So instead of me doing every job that I did the first year of World One, this year I can book and write the TV, and my stress level's gone down to nothing, and it's great. You walk into a building and you have a full sponsor for the show, and if you draw 40 or you draw 400, everybody gets paid and stuff like that. So it really relaxes the boys a lot too. That if they see a bad house on one month and then a great house on the other, they can still give it 100% because they know they're going to get the guarantee. They know we're going towards something. So it's something that I almost fell back into, and now I actually really enjoy it.
So was it a different business model that made you decide to promote again? Or
Yeah.
did you decided to promote again and sought out a different business?
No, another reason I wanted to go back into it is because there's a thing in Tokyo called the First Ring. It's an S Arena, and it's a 400-seat building that has a dojo, and it also has it's like a mini Tokyo Dome. It's an arena. It's pretty much an arena, and I fell in love with it the second I walked in. I said, "Wow, this is what I want," and I found a place in suburban Pennsylvania or suburban Philadelphia that we're building it at. We actually have a capital investor that's investing the money to put it in and stuff like that. So hopefully by January, hopefully by the time this comes out, it'll be up where we're going to have an actual dojo where people can actually stay. There's going to be a dorm. There's going to be classes, and it's in an industrial park where there's a Gold's Gym right next door that we've already talked to Gold's, and Gold's is going to if we put the banner up, they'll let all the students work out for free. And there's Target, there's all these department stores or hardware stores, restaurants, movie theater where the boys, when they're not training, can work so they can actually live and stuff like that. And we're going to run shows out of there every other Saturday night, and student shows every Saturday morning and stuff like that. And it's going to, it's like a feeder into our fair show. So it's in this day and age at 2005, it's almost going to be a full-time territory, where it's not going to get the press that an ROH or Jersey All Pro or TNA or WWE gets, but it's going to be a place where you can go and learn the craft and learn the psychology, and you can work every night, and you're actually living the life of a pro wrestler. You're traveling from town to town doing these fair shows and the carnival shows where you're going to have to wrestle 20 minutes a night. You're going to learn your craft. There's going to be different matches every night, and I don't back from when I started, and I was in Memphis and stuff like that, wrestling 5 nights a week is out of the picture anymore unless you're with Vince. TNA runs once every other week. And, in Japan we run tours that are 2 weeks long, but for 2 weeks, out of the month. So this one, there's going to be kids that break out of wrestling school and they're working every night. So, and I think that's going to just make them better. They're going to be ready to, World One's never going to be the WWE or, even ROH. But we're going to have our ITV show that's sponsored with commercials. We're going to have the fair shows that we have every year that's bringing in the revenue. We're going to have the dojo that brings in revenue, the arena that brings in revenue, and we want to produce good pro wrestlers for the future. If they can go on to OVW or Atlanta and then to TNA and WWE or Japan and Mexico and Puerto Rico and stuff like that, that's my goal. I want to create a good pool of talent for our future.